Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming to my town hall. I'm Commissioner Tal. I represent the third district, which is the north end of Longboat Key. Let me know if you can hear me too. North end of Longboat Key, sort of Bayfront Park, kind of cuts off to Sarasota, and then all of Anna Maria Island. I cover West Rankin, and then a little bit of Palmetto. I go north of the river, just covering the coast, Terracea, Sneed Island. I'll keep this pretty casual, Q&A, no holds barred, until 8. We'll be past that too. We've got some time. I'd like to thank all of you for coming today. I think this is the first time a District 3 Commissioner has done a town hall. So let's not make it the last one. My next one's in March, GT Bray. I'll make sure you guys leave with the town hall date. You're welcome to come to that one too. Somewhere here. I like giving out some dates before I get started. My GT Bray Town Hall is Monday, March 24, 6 to 8. Feel free to show up. I'll announce some more dates after that. Another date I wanted to put out there for you, if you're interested in the 75th Street West project, which is the widening of 75th from kind of where Village Green is to Manatee Avenue. I've asked for a public workshop. We finally got it. So it's called the Pre-Construction Information Meeting. That is on Wednesday, February 26th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the United Presbyterian Church. So 75th Street widening, come check that out. It's on the county social media pages as well, so come check that out. Some of the big things I've been working on, and I'll kind of turn it over to Q&A. The first one is debris cleanup. As you all know, that was a massive effort, a lot of big collaborative effort between all the cities, town of Longboat Key. We were originally supposed to be done with it December, which became January, then became February. We're still picking it up. We didn't end it, but we just changed it to say, hey, if you have trash pickup, debris pickup, you can still make those requests. And we've officially ended it, but you can still let me know, and I've been taking care of that. The next big thing's been permits. We are very behind. But my priority has been making sure people that are homeless, people who are damaged by storms, homeless because of the storm damage, and have their permits just delayed, whether it's for drywall, if you're in a flood zone, that's really the only time you need a drywall permit from us. Or if you're just need a roof permit or whatever it is. I've been helping people out left and right. My aide's been doing a great job with that as well. So reach out to me if you need help with that, and I'll do my best to get that accelerated for you. So permits have been a big topic for me, and I addressed this at the last board meeting, but we can't hire enough people for it. So I've been telling them, look, find software, find some solution, waive whatever you can. But we need to get people back in their homes, get their roofs fixed, get their houses fixed, and just get back on track, because it's just not acceptable when I've literally heard no less than a dozen phone calls where people have said, hey, Tal, I'm being patient, but I've been told I've got 10,000 people ahead of me. 10,000 people is unacceptable. I mean, for new housing permits, I don't, whatever. But for me, it's making sure people that are trying to get their lives back on track, trying to help those folks out. So debris pickup, storm permits, I'll get to your question about that. That's been a big priority for me as well. And I'll get to your question. I don't want to ignore that. Other than that, it's been fun. We had a 14-hour meeting with the board. I like the board. I think we're very collegial. We're working together. As you all know, we came in on a pretty big anti-development wave. I just wanted to see good things happen for this district. We've been spending a lot of money, and I don't think that's been going into our community. So my big priority has just been focusing on a lot of things that can make it seem like we're investing in our neighborhoods. From reducing the cost of median beautification, making that reasonable, and fixing up a lot of those, to speed bumps or signs so we can reduce speeds on some of our roadways, to doing things like repaving roads, trying to get some funds for that. Haven't got money yet, but that's been a big topic. And sidewalks as well, because we need to make sure pedestrians are not sharing the road with vehicles. So I'm working on a number of projects to just prioritize funding for sidewalks. Trails as well. We have a lot of money from the state of Florida, federal government, to build multi-use paths. The island's got a whole trail network that goes into Bradenton. So I'm working to actually we just prioritized funding that this couple of board meetings ago. So the goal is to take all of our sidewalks, or just areas that don't have them, and create 10 to 12 feet wide multi-use paths. So you can take a bike on it, you can walk, whatever. So that's a big thing the board's been working on. Big infrastructure projects, 75th Street West is one of them. 59th Street was a big talking point. What I'm trying to do is divert money from that to 51st. So we all know Seaflower is a massive, 10,000 plus housing development that's coming to my district, opening up very soon. So I'm trying to get another north-south road opened up. So 51st, we have a seller, I think it's IMG. They're willing to sell us the land and just build a road through it. So it'll go from 53rd Avenue West to Elcon. It'll be 4-lane. So I think that'll open up a connector and traffic doesn't jam up on either side. Tons of bridges. Well, I won't get into the bridges, but the water line at Manatee Avenue I identified as a top infrastructure priority, and thankfully I was able to get some progress on it. So on January 21st, we issued a contract to start burying that under the intercoastal. It was just kind of sitting for 2 years, and I thought that was unacceptable, literally not acceptable. Unfortunately, Cortez got money first. Don't ask me how, but we are working to get that one buried under the intercoastal well before we get the new bridge coming. So I don't have a timeline for it. I'm hoping the guys doing Cortez, if they do a good job, just move over and do that one, please. Beyond that, sewage is a big problem for the city of Bradenton, so we just picked up $255 million from the federal government to go into resiliency. And so we're currently I just got an email tonight. We've got a list of projects. My challenge to staff is this: we need to take stormwater management seriously. And I'll speak to this next Wednesday. We have a workshop on stormwater, but districts 2, 3, and 4, Bradenton to the intercoastal, pretty much. The last major stormwater plan system that was built was in 1918. Really, I was actually shocked. Natural Resources Director was an awesome asset. But if you pull up a map, you can't use that. You have a system of creeks and canals that go north into Manatee River, south to Sarasota Bay, west into the intercoastal, and it just kind of goes through different creeks, canals, ditches. That was done to drain the swamp area. I mean, if you go looking at aerials, my house is in farmland. I live next to the lake. So the goal was to just develop all that back in the day, and we've done nothing with it since, pretty much. I mean, we've maintained it, cleared it out, but no one's really gone back to shore it up, make sure dirt isn't being deposited. Well, it is, but no one's gone back to fix it. So think about that. It's more than 100 years ago. That's the last major stormwater plan. And we have no money set aside for stormwater. So the big priority is making sure that money is spent well in our community, not wasted on fun projects. So we've had 2 board meetings about that money. Beyond that, I'm looking to get the pier fixed. I have good relationships with all the mayors, so I'm trying to get the pier fixed. Mark wants about $8 million, Mayor Short, to fix that. He's put some money in, about $1.5 million, $2 million, I think. So his goal is end of the year. I've told Charlie Bishop, our administrator, get him the money and fix it, because if we're going to profit so much from the island, you deserve to put that money back here. So for me, we need to make sure. Like, I was just hanging out with my wife. Chairs on the beach the other day. It was kind of sad seeing it by itself. So we're trying to get it fixed and built up to code so that it can be more resilient in the future. Yeah. Thankfully, the TN is there. If the TN wasn't there, we would never rebuild it. Army Corps, DEP, it's making it impossible to build piers again. And you can insure it. But thankfully, the TN is there. My goal is to get the money for it. Because we have money. We blow money all the time.
What's the TN?
The TN is where the building is, the T-shaped structure at the end. Yeah, with TN. Sorry, yeah. I'll get you business cards at the end. I have a notebook going around. If you haven't signed in, please sign in. I'll get you on my mailing list. Try and get people. There you go. There you go. You can pass it back. So, anyways, I'm trying to get the pier fixed. That's $8 million. I'm trying to get money from the Tourism Council, from Manatee County, wherever else I can do deals to get money there. Just want to fix it. Other than that, open Q&A. You have one.
I don't even know where to start with this. I appreciate that you're doing this. Getting back to the permits, those of us who had our homes affected have been absolutely tortured for months by the insurance companies, by our mortgage companies, and then by the county, who won't give us permits. They won't let us fix our homes. Most people don't even know that there's only 2 people working on permits for the entire county. This is never going to get done. I mean, when I say never, they've been telling me they're on November's permits since before Christmas. It's now February. Every week that goes by is costing people money that they don't have. The mortgage companies don't care. You're sitting here trying to pay rent and your mortgage. They would love for you to foreclose on your house. So there's no advocates for us. And this casual kind of attitude like, well, we're working on it. And I'm not blaming you, but it's really aggravating and upsetting already when you see your neighbors not being able to get back into their homes, sitting here struggling, having their kids staying at friends' houses every night like we live in some third world country. Something needs to be done. Either we ask the community for volunteers, we pull the inspectors off. We have plenty of code enforcement. How about we pull them in and have them do permits instead of punishing people for trying to fix their home? I'm being very calm. You have no idea. You have no idea like what we're going through. Every day is a fight with the bank, with your insurance company. They don't want to give us our money. They don't want us to fix our house. And we're sitting here struggling just to get through, and there's no one there for us. And then when you go to the county, and they're like, yeah, we have 2 people, and we're working on that. It's February. We're sitting here pointing fingers at California. What a joke they are. At least they told their people they're going to screw them over. We're sitting here pretending like we're all fine and we're building back, but we're not. And again, every time I tell somebody there's 2 people working on this, they're stunned. Nobody knows this. They believe fully that our government and our bureaucracy is working for us. And nobody is. And it just goes on day after day. Nothing's happening and no permits are being issued. So what are we going to do? How much longer? Because it's getting hot out. So all these homes that you're not letting us fix, our own homes, are all going to fill with mold in the next few months. Is the county going to pay to remediate that? And I know it's not you personally, but I hope you can understand it's not a joke anymore. It's been months and nothing's being done. And the citizens of the county are suffering, and everyone just sits there and acts like nothing's happening. There's nothing in the media, not a news story, and we've gone to them and they just ignore it. So there, I'm throwing that at you.
Can you your name, sir?
Darren Horsch.
So Darren, we got news, so I hope you guys cover the name of my son. Where do you live, Darren?
Flamingo County.
I've helped 2 people in your community there. You have a principal, King Middle, lives in that community. She was going to be homeless, so I got her permit moved there to somebody else. But you're right. I was, as a board member, I don't get involved in day to day, so when I heard stories, we had 10,000 people, 2 people work, I was shocked. I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
Seriously?
This is absurd.
I mean, I'm in the city of Bradenton, so they have far less coverage, but I'll tell you this, and I brought this up at the last board meeting. I told our administrators that deal with permits, look, I don't care what you have to do. Hire people, do third-party inspections. Can we waive fees? Because people are still recovering from Ian. That they're being charged for that.
So
I'll tell you this.
Approach the state. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
What can we approach the state to somebody go, we need something. We need an executive order. We need to do something and stop acting like everything's fine, because it's not. I mean, it's absurd already.
Holmes Beach has 2.
Yeah. I'll tell you this.
Shared agreements.
I'm trying to put as much money in as I can to hire people. We are competing with, unfortunately, every county. But I've told our staff, look, we need to get these permits through, prioritize the people damaged by storms, not the fancy stuff being built north and east.
Have we asked for volunteers? We have plenty of great retired people in the area. Hey, you come in and help. I mean, I don't know what the rules are,
Yeah.
but this was a natural disaster. This is an emergency. You have our citizens. Like, why are we living like this? We're not some third world country. We deserve to get back in our homes. We deserve to not be worried about having our homes red tagged and us being penalized for fixing our own home. I mean, and that's what it is. They're like, no, you can't fix your own. I'm asking permission to fix my family's home like I'm a child.
And can I ask the question
sure.
in regards to what
Yeah,
you're
go
talking
for it.
about? Because here's my question. Did we just become a hurricane area just this year? No. So why weren't we prepared for something like this? And who do we address about that? Because we were not ready. And you don't get ready after it happens. You get ready before it occurs.
You're right.
And this is exactly what he's talking about. And I think that it's very sad that the people who are in charge of this area, whoever they may be, and I'd like to know who that is, who do we address on these terms to say it wasn't done appropriately beforehand, because now we're suffering afterhand. And I feel 100% exactly what you're saying. The citizens who own properties and rent. You know, I didn't own, I'm a renter, but I lost everything I own. And my father is a 97-year-old person on this island who owns. It lost everything. So why weren't people in place to take care of a situation like this? Because we didn't just become hurricane problem just this year. We've been in this situation for many, many years. We've just been very lucky. And this time we weren't. But I feel 100% what you're saying. What do we do and who was responsible so we can maybe correct it for the future so we don't go through this ever again? And who can we talk to about that?
The first answer is me. Because the buck stops with commissioners, they bring it down to staff. So come to me. And that's why I give people my cell phone. If I don't answer, I try and get to you as soon as I can.
But my neighbors are all looking at me, I'm like, I'm gonna go say something. Everyone's afraid to say something.
You shouldn't be.
Yeah. Like, why are we victims after this of the county? We're already victims of the insurance company, victims of the mortgage company. Like I said, there are no advocates for us. And nothing, it would be okay, we'll suffer through that, but we're not getting back in and nothing is moving and it's to the point of ridiculous.
It's getting very bad. I'll tell you this, every board meeting I've been getting on staff, get through permits, hire people, do third-party inspections. What I would ask you to do is
wait for them, let us build it. You want to come back later and inspect it, but let us fix everything before it gets even worse than it is already.
So some of that's FEMA.
I know it is.
Yeah. Well, let me.
We're going to take care of American citizens.
Well, let me.
I know. I'm not backing my house down. Okay.
Well, let me ask. Well, let me answer your questions.
Sorry.
I'm putting real public pressure on staff to get after that problem. Hire people, do whatever it is you need to do to get people in. As far as volunteers, some of that's concerned, Florida building code is very strict. I can't, even if you're retired, you have to have a current license. I can't just say, hey, you've been doing that for 30 years, come in and do that. I can't, unless, now it is a valid point. I'm actually talking to our congressman tomorrow morning to see what we can do on some of the federal regulations, especially with FEMA. Now, I'm not going to say the 50-50 rule is going away, but I do think there's, the reason you guys are seeing that flamingo case is because you're in a flood zone, and now I have to somehow permit you for drywall, which I was surprised. Drywall, roofing, that was surprising to me, honestly.
That doesn't matter. The
Yeah.
AHC still doesn't have a permit. They won't
Yeah.
get a permit for anything. And they said they won't get out of order. They won't, even if now they know your house isn't going to go over the 50% rule, then get me out of the list and streamline that. Do something.
Yeah.
Besides just sitting there slowly dragging this out. I'm sorry to take all the time.
No, it's good. I'll tell you, permits are the number one issue for me. And I'm telling you, the other thing I'll say this, you have two other at-large commissioners. You got Bearden for District 6 and Cruz for 7. Make sure you let them know too. And I'll address this first thing Tuesday in my commissioner comments, because I've been doing it every meeting. That I talked to all you guys, permits getting through was the number one issue here. I'm telling you, I mean, you're welcome to show up and call in. Anyone can call into the meetings. But I'm making it a top priority to get after permits.
Citizens back in their homes.
Yeah.
Their house. It's going to get worse. Like I said,
I'm working
it's getting hot. It's going to be an issue.
I'm working it.
Yeah.
So,
But you got my cell. If you have your permit building number, it's usually PLN, BLD. Just let me know. Tell everybody. I've only helped maybe like a dozen or so people, so I don't think they know to contact me. But I've been telling people to send me your permit numbers. I'll make sure it gets through. That's what I can do for now until we figure out the
I know
long term.
what to do. When I talk to neighbors and stuff, they trusted the system would work, and a lot of them still sit there and they haven't gotten checked on their insurance company.
Yeah.
The system doesn't work.
I just got mine last month. It took me a while. I had a tree fall take out our bedroom. So as far as your question, I'll just answer this. As far as why we were prepared, because nobody prepared. No board member I know has said we should be hiring more permits, more building inspectors, more folks to do permits. Now, the damage assessments, we did get a lot of support from the community. We had Red Cross donate, a lot of staff. We had a lot of nonprofits come in. The damage assessments are easy to do. We had so many organizations come in, nonprofits, federal, state.
Right.
So that I feel we did a lot better with. The
But
permit.
you said no one cared. Why would no one care when we live in the place we live in where this could be a possibility?
I'm telling you, I care. That's why I'm pushing for it.
So when we call you, that's awesome. But then who do you go to so we know who, if we're not getting any, response or success, who are you not getting success response from? Because who do you go to after we call you?
I tell my directors directly, we need
Okay.
to give me a budget resolution, tell me how many staff you need, and then I make it happen with a budget amendment. I will tell you, we do have open positions for inspectors. We are really struggling to fill them right now. So this isn't necessarily something where we haven't been trying to hire them,
Okay.
but we are really struggling to fill them because we are, again, we're competing with Sarasota County, everyone down, all the way down to Naples.
Right.
It's definitely a problem where we do need to hire some more people. Now, as far as the statutes are concerned, that's something we're talking to Jim Boyd, Robinson, you got Bill Connolly, Michael Owen, the state reps that fight for us at the state level. And then again, we already have legislative priorities to say, hey, what can you do to help us here? Especially with FEMA. Again, I'm not promising the standards are going away, but what can we do to just expedite some things? So that's my number one priority I just want to get people back in their homes. I mean, I lost a bedroom and a roof. I was not happy with that for months. So, but I hear you and I'm working.
We get assurances that they won't come after people for getting a contractor to do the work. That's what's great. The contractors are afraid to do the work without a permit. But we're all just standing here staring at nothing because of a piece of paper. We're adults and we're acting like idiots. I mean, we should be able to fix it and go, okay, no one's going to get penalized. Hire a licensed contractor, do it to code, and we'll deal with it later. You won't be penalized for it. Fix your life.
I'll say some of the.
What the heck in adult?
But why don't you've got my number? Why don't you send me some more information about your permits? Tell your neighbors. I'm happy to take care of it. But yeah, I mean, there's some more technical ones I'll jump into, but like why you have to have a subcontractor for drywall if you're in like some cities. I won't call them out. I didn't say that.
I mean, the home speech, part of the way we got through was the staff work Saturdays. Are they working
Yeah.
Saturdays?
Oh, they're working. Yeah.
I mean, that's it. That's all really anybody can do.
But we're working to hire people, and I've said if the incentives are a problem, like I also just don't want to dump too much bad money after it. But again, we have open positions. We're working to hire some of those folks.
I have to say, Holmes Beach, I haven't applied for a single permit for anything, but I have gotten the inspector to come out and approve what's been done. Right. I'm not really interested in permits because I know the people that are doing the work are professionals. It's what they do. They've been doing it for 30 years or more. And when the inspector comes out and signs up, I don't give a crap about a permit.
So will the inspectors do that? They'll let you do your work first and then come out and prove it?
No.
That is the opposite of what you should be doing. Yeah. Do not do that.
I just wanted to be clear.
But I mean, county. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I think there's a third spin on this. My name's Derek Williams. I have a business in the city of Bradenton. I live in the county. I have a home in Holmes Beach, and I own a business in Bradenton Beach. I own the Drift Inn.
Oh, yeah.
So I have a permit,
Oh, yeah, you do.
and I'm getting problems from the government.
Yeah.
And I have written letters to the governor and all of the legislators and to Tal and to George Cruz, and I've called a number of contacts, and I have 20 people out of work for 5 months with young children and a permit and threats from the government. And I am beyond upset with it. Tomorrow morning, I believe the city of Bradenton Beach is going to be hiring a building official that was fired from the city of Bradenton. And I'm pretty sure that the building official that worked on my project, so everybody understands, is sitting in this room. I worked with him, the city planner. I worked with the code enforcement folks. I went through every step, and all I've gotten is government overreach, private property issues. And again, I definitely think your home is more important than my business, but I was one of the first people back on the island to try to be out here and get my people back to work. I tried to follow every letter of the law, and I have been absolutely smashed. It's definitely a land grab. It is definitely these FEMA rules. What I want to hear people say is immediately following those storms, what was the protocol? Because I know in that community down there, at least, it was get things up and going. Citizen serve, the online systems weren't working. We had to rely on the same professionals you're saying you're hiring more of. We relied on them. They did their professional job. They have all those certifications, and they're now getting fired? Are you kidding me? I mean, are you kidding me? We can't go to anybody. We are literally being buried, and somebody needs to step up and say, make sure that tune gets sung real loud, because that's wrong. That's wrong, man. No matter how you slice it, And you know, I'm taking heat in different ways for this, but my wife and I have decided we're putting our foot down. We're not going to do this anymore. I'm going to make sure that my people are taken care of. I want my business reopened, and I really want this community to be rebuilt. I love Bradenton Beach. I love Anna Maria Island. I'm born and raised in Bradenton, and you know, something you said a moment ago. How many of you people that lost your homes had internet, had a computer, or could go online and do any of that stuff anyways?
No.
And I know they put these mobile stations out, but hell, half of my people lost their cars. They couldn't even get to that.
Yeah.
It's just all the way along. This is a back-to-back disaster. And I'm with you, man. We have to go home every night and watch how we're sending money overseas. But we have people right here in our own community. This is third world stuff, and it needs to be addressed at the highest level, as far as I'm concerned.
To expand on that,
And I'm not ignoring it. I'm gonna get to it.
Understand.
I've been following your story, me and my son. I mean, I got some words. Go ahead.
I'm Derek Cushing. I'm the building official that issued Derek's permit. It was done properly, it was done correctly, and it was done by the book. There are people in that city, I'm now fired, so and I was contracted there under the same contract that's been in place for 17 years. They all did was change the name of the contract person, which was myself, after Steve Gilbert retired. I was there. I've been there since December of 2023. There has been constant threats to me for not following. Well, I'll just say I had a 3.5-page letter here ready to read to you, but I'm going to just hand it to you. But I'm going to hit the high points, and that is, I did everything properly for Derek's permit. I was, you know, as a licensed building code official for 25 years now, licensed floodplain manager, certified floodplain manager for longer than that. I know what I'm doing, and I was doing things correctly. I was doing things properly. In fact, Bradenton Beach was one of the places where you didn't hear, you know, where's our permit? We were getting things done. We were moving forward. We were doing things in the right way. But every time that I didn't do that for a particular developer, we all know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I was threatened. I was threatened by city staff. I was threatened by the mayor, the attorney, and the police chief. Do we just need to get another building official? Why won't you do this for him? And things that were illegal and against my ethical, you know, I have a code of ethics with my license that I've had for many years that I have to follow, and I don't want to lose that license. That's my livelihood. Well, I've lost my job now, and this company that I work for fired me too because I retaliated about things that were being said about me, slanderous things being said about me, and not what you wrote, Joe, but what was said that you quoted, and those things are not true. And somebody needs to look into it. There's some dirty stuff going on in that city, and somebody needs to look into it. I don't know where else to go. I've gone to a multitude of attorneys that just, you know, oh, well, you know, it's whistleblowing. We don't want to. What do you want me to do? Can I talk to a state attorney? Will the state attorney's office back me up? I don't know. I don't know what to do.
The other side of that, Darren, to this gentleman's point earlier, is, as I said, back-to-back catastrophic storms. I mean, Bradenton Beach in particular probably took the brunt, right? I mean, if you really look down there. And I will give credit. The mayor, the chief, even the city attorney, everybody was out there. But in particular, to follow rules, they pointed us to Evan and to Derek, code enforcement and building official. And they acted in a kind and compassionate way. They were trying to help. And so, again, you're going to come back months later and we're all going to hide behind, and I'm not against it, FEMA rules and 50%, all these things. But there's a lot of details in that. We can't just sit here in this meeting and pretend we can all understand it. I've started reading all of it myself. These guys are certified in it. My understanding is when somebody like Darren himself comes in, he can do that assessment and move these things forward. That's the purpose. And then the end result of that is firing them. I mean, I'm just curious. You say you need somebody. He's for hire. Well,
And I've already interviewed, as a matter of fact.
Well, think about that. He is now going to put an application in up the street, and somebody from up the street just put an application, I believe tomorrow morning. If from what I understand, the city commission at Bradenton Beach is gonna hire that person that was fired from, what are we, just,
Yeah,
are we all so stupid we can't see that that's happening?
yeah.
I mean, come on.
But because of these slanderous
So-
things that are being said about me, I don't know, that, I'm sure that's affecting, I can feel it in my interview. They were thinking, like, well, about lessons learned and stuff. And I said, well, and finally I had to throw it out there. I said, here's the truth. Here's what's going on. And they said, oh, we know.
You were under, was it NAP, under Building Development
Yes.
Services?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not that I'm gonna be showing favorites or anything, but I appreciate you letting me know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I know her. She and I stomped
good.
through the mud out here together.
Good.
2 days after the storm, she was helping me get some of your county code enforcement officers
Okay.
so we could start getting our damage assessments done. I'm one person that holds two major positions, building official and floodplain manager. I was doing the best I could, and I got some help finally from the state. They're saying I didn't ask for help. Bullshit. I asked for help. I asked for help immediately, and I finally got it. There's a lot of, and there's just, again, I'm going to leave you this letter. You can read through it, do with it what you want, but there's somebody needs to take a serious look at what's going on down there.
Oh, it's the whole island. It's not just Bradenton.
I'll tell you this, when I was running, county had a lot of issues similar to that. Code enforcement's been a big, we made the news over, well, they made the news over code enforcement, how some of the commissioners were doing the same things pretty much.
Right.
Actually, I had a campaign with one of the businesses that I had a campaign sign in. The last commissioner said code enforcement should remove that,
I know.
but it was on their private. That's how bad. I'm not going to say the county's innocent and all that, but we've got a new board. I read on ethics. We're demanding a lot of changes from our staff. If you were in Manatee County, this would not be happening. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
Right.
I have not been able to get in contact with anyone from Bradenton Beach.
They're hiding.
Yeah.
They're hiding.
They
don't sit in the van.
And look,
Get the drive there.
I have to be very mindful of how District 3 Commissioner approaches the island. The last time a District 3 Commissioner started making noise, you almost lost your cities and a parking garage got built.
Right.
Right.
I've always had the approach, we need to have good relationships. That's why I called Mark, had a great, meeting with him. We've got a lunch. We're doing work sessions, public work sessions with him. Bradenton Beach somehow made it. I didn't think that would even happen. But we're doing that. That's publicly advertised meeting. I have to check my schedule. That's going to be approved Tuesday. Holmes Beach, same thing. Love Judy, love the commission there. We certainly have some challenges there, but I think we've always had that communication. Same thing for Palmetto, Bradenton. I have not heard one phone call back from Bradenton Beach. Take that how you'd like. Since November. I left a voicemail this morning. I have no idea what the hell is going on. But I'll tell you this. Bradenton Beach has not come to Manatee County for any resources, for any help that I'm aware of. My approach would be this. You come to Manatee County, you want help from the county taxpayers, we need to see something from your end. And I'll tell you at that point, I will be asking those tough questions. What's going on with permitting? What's going on with building? We're doing a new, we're trying to get a ferry. We have a ferry service coming that's in Bradenton Beach right now. It's out of Santa Maria. We have leverage that we have some gears and buttons we can start using. I don't want to go in and start, taking over a city because I don't want to. That's just not my job. I don't want to do that.
Right.
But I'm paying attention to what's been going on. I talked to Rodney, the fire marshal. He gave me some insight into that. And we're good friends. I know all the West Manatee guys out there. So I know the concern was around the material in the tiki hut, but other than that, I think the city should not have, there's a lot of stuff that shouldn't have happened.
The
I'll
state
leave it at that.
statute says that I, the building official, building code administrator for that jurisdiction, will perform the duties under my responsibility without interference from any person, anyone. That's not the mayor, not the city attorney, not anyone. That's not their area. That's not their lane. And look me up. I've been around here for a long time. I was city of Bradenton building official. I'm Longbook building official.
My
in
business-
Manatee County, built most of everything down on Coquina as a project manager for Manatee County. I've been around here a while. I've got a good reputation, but it's being sullied right now, and I don't like it. And
My
you know.
business was red tag, not only the building, but the tiki hut. And it's not the tiki hut. It is, just so everybody's clear, I have a good relationship with the fire marshal as well. And once I found out that, I understand, we are in a situation where something didn't get over to them
Yeah.
because things couldn't be processed. Computer
Yeah.
systems were down. I've already made the investment. I'm spending double to, I guess, put an artificial roof on this grass roof tiki, which was built by Seminole Indians with a fire retardant on it. But I'm taking it off and meeting the fire code. That's not the issue for me.
Okay.
My issue has to do more with what they're speaking about with the rest of the permitting process and the fact that we don't have anybody, a building official in the office. I did the phone call today, I did an email, and I go in daily. So when you can't find out who the city planner is or who the building official is, then you're told that the company that he worked for was let go, but now they're back because they hired somebody and he quit within 6 hours. Like it's absolutely a tragedy, man.
Yeah.
Like it is a clown car show, but it's hurting real people, and that's the whole reason I drove out here tonight. Is it's hurting real people. I'm sure we can fix it. My agenda isn't to dismantle the cities either. Personally, I love the fact that we have a beat cop walking the street down Little Main Street on Bridge Street. It's a safe place. It's a good place to be. But as these folks said earlier, how can we not be prepared for an event like this? Or when it happens, we have no idea that it's ever coming or how to act. And then when you follow the rules, the licensed guy that follows the rules, well, they just cut him off, and we're all supposed to just pretend like,
It never happened.
yeah, it never happened. Like, that has to be addressed.
I'll tell you from the county's perspective, our issue is volume, just getting through the sheer volume, because we just cover east, west, north, south. If you hear a procedural issue, you hear anyone trading favors, you get the perception of that from the county, let me know. I'll sort it out. As far as Bradenton Beach is concerned, we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
I don't want to go in heavy-handed with it, but
No.
I'm paying attention to what's going on up there. If I can, and again, they come to us for anything, drift in.
Oh, yeah.
Let you guys open.
Nice.
And I enjoy going to drifting. Don't get me wrong, so I want to see you guys back open. But I haven't paid attention to what's been going on.
But shouldn't it not have to wait until they come to the county for money? Because if you're waiting on them to make the first move, they don't make the first move, then you're not there saying, do what you gotta do.
We can't protect home rule and then ask the county to come in.
Right. Right, it's
I
safe.
guess.
That's-
We just spent 2 years fighting the last rep who decided that
Mhm.
he didn't have to.
It's just not trying to
This is
show
the
its hand, it's gonna do something.
Okay.
It's just
Yeah,
not trying to
and
take its hand right here.
My perspective is this: we've had years of cities, counties, state, federal government going to war with each other. I like working with people. Again, I don't want to be heavy-handed with it, but I think we just got $255 million. We have a lot of money. Cities always come to us for resources. We'll figure something out.
Seriously, you
Yeah.
guys need to vote your people out, but you
First of
need
all,
to get candidates to run. I
texted Charlie Bishop, because I said, I'm just hearing about this, and he said they have 2 building officials, and I guess if you get hired, it would be 3. And, but they said they have a lot of permit people, but they only have 2 building officials. So he asked us to put it in writing, and he'll give you something more detailed in writing, because that was just a text. The other night at the city commission meeting, what we heard is we were going to do an interlocal agreement with Bradenton Beach to have our people help so many hours a day in Holmes Beach. But then the mayor and the city of Bradenton Beach had a meeting, and they got together, and what they've decided, so you know, is they are not going to use our inspectors. We had an extra one that we were using, and maybe that's who he's talking about. And we said we won't use him, so Bradenton Beach can use him. So that, as of Tuesday night, is what happened. And as far as doing things without checking with the city, if you can get an owner's permit or whatever, or you do it yourself, I wouldn't recommend just going and doing stuff in your house, because from history, from all my years, you'll have to tear it down. So, but I know it's aggravating, but I think Tal can help individually. I think he can help you at least get things
I don't
going.
want him to help me. I want him to
Well,
help
I'm
the
just telling
community.
you, that's a
Right.
way he can help. But right now, I just drove over by the port. I went up to Palmetto, and the whole street on Buffalo, the whole road is totally, every fence is down in every development, and there's piles of trash everywhere. And Manatee County has 840 square miles, so there is still a lot to do. And we appreciate what you've done, but we also know this is a 100-year storm. I've lived here 55 years, so I actually have never seen it like this. So we just have to have patience, and I know it's hard, but little things like this, you contact your elected official.
And my approach is this: you've heard me say it in previous meetings.
Yeah, I know. It's not a
I don't-
thing. You, like,
Well,
live with it, like,
It is
all
for
these
him. He can make a phone call and help you.
Well, let me. I'll get to you. We can talk. You got my number, but I don't like doing 2 things. I don't like making excuses, and I don't like blaming previous boards. I could go I could go all night, 14-hour meeting, blaming the last commissioner,
Right.
the last 4 years of boards. I don't do that because it's my problem now. I didn't complain about the water line. I just said, Charlie, get the damn thing on a contract and let's get it going. And we finally did it January 21st. The roadways, like widening them, paving them, whatever, I just did it in the board meeting. And I think that's generally the direction you're going to be seeing us going. Government is way too slow. So for me, my priorities for this district have always been, let's get small things going that make a big difference. So whether it's hiring more people, welcome aboard if you're a third building official. Now it's your problem. Talk to him. But that's the kind of stuff I want to do because the county staff over the last 4 years, we've lost 1,100 people because we just had 4 bad years of just very poor leadership. 1,100 people is insanity to me. I mean, you're talking, somebody's asked me about fluoride. Well, we weren't even putting it in because we lost the director.
I know.
So either way, and I criticized them over why I didn't know. Well, actually, if I read the water reports, you'd know, nobody told us. So there's just crazy stuff happening. The board members don't know. But when we find out, we get after that problem. So again, not making excuses, not blaming the last board. I'm telling you, I'm getting after it. And I've been pretty public about that in the board meetings too. Questions? You got a lot. So
I was literally afraid to say anything after listening to what's been going on with a lot of these issues. I
Did you
mean,
get your house is all right though, right?
yeah, my house. That's why I'm afraid to say anything.
Okay.
So
I was hoping to post clean out after Alina
Right.
Delton. Yeah.
So I listened to the last commission meeting, actually. I stayed on for 10 hours.
Yeah.
That was breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I want to commend you for coming out of without being brain dead, because I'll tell you,
I kind of was.
I was brain dead after 10 hours.
That was 14 hours. That was the record.
Yeah, I only did 10.
Yeah.
Okay, but what I saw was the communication between all of the commissioners and the respect that was up at that dais. The nicest thing I think I saw was when the people were calling in on the fluoride issues and their other concerns. They were respectfully heard. And you could tell that the people that were calling in were really engaged, and the commissioners were engaged in listening to them. So that was a refreshing reward. So I really want to thank you. I hope to God you don't do another marathon like that again, and you break the things up, because you were at the end of the line as being, the S at the end of the line.
I always get the short end of that.
Yeah, so,
I get the most impactful
but
stuff.
you brought up a very important issue, which was the rentals in West Bradenton.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think your idea, even though it wasn't, I don't believe it was a motion, it was an idea that you were bringing forward. I hope it continues to grow, Cal, and that you actually can do something about getting those rentals registered, because as you know, here on Holmes Beach, when people can't afford to stay here, they're going to go to West Bradenton. And those people thought they bought homes in a very peaceful neighborhood, and now are finding out that they're living next to one-day rentals and 4-day rentals, and that's just not fair. So, I mean, our regulations here are pretty stiff, and I think we've done a really great job over the last 5 or 6 years. So I hope you move forward with that, because it's going to send a good message to the investors that are coming in. Every day I go down these streets and I see another home that's been taken down, and we know what's going to happen. We know that that's going to be a mega mansion. So the island is going to be continually under construction, and it's kind of frightening when you think about it. So thank you for at least the people that are up there now seem to be engaged in doing the right thing.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I think that we are moving forward. The motion was successful, so staff are drafting it. I'm leading the effort. We've been prioritizing the development, addressing the overdevelopment issues. So that's more on the back burner, but making good progress. I think we have broad support. I got a 6-1, 6-1 vote on that one. So I think it'll happen. And like anything else, I think less government's better, but in certain things you have to always balance the risk, the needs of the community with, do we actually want to get involved in something? Because like we're finding out with the animal shelter issue, the retail pet sale ban. We can create a lot of issues if we don't, do research, or maybe boards don't understand the depth of those. So I spent a lot of hours talking to West Manatee Fire, City of Bradenton, Holmes Beach, Anna Maria, doing research with what other counties have done, because counties and cities are very distinct. And my approach to short-term vacation rentals is this. I don't want to see them gone. I'm not trying to regulate them to death. In fact, you're charged more by Airbnb and Vrbo than you are the county, and you ever would be. But I think there's a balancing act where we just have, like I said, like a 1%, less than that, of bad actors that don't care, where kids drowning or fire code violations or code enforcement violations are the cost of doing business. And to me, that's not right. And the folks that say it's the parent's responsibility, well, if you go to a hotel, you have a common understanding of, this building's taken care of. I mean, even a Motel 6, you can reasonably assume is safe. But I think the stuff that I've heard, and I do everything with data. I don't just show up and half cock. But I talked to West Manatee Fire. They gave me a lot of data and insight into what's really happening here. And the reality is, building owners have no incentive to want to fix structural issues, pool safety issues, adhere to regulations, unless you can shut them down for it and bring them back. And that's kind of the point. Is you have vacation rentals that are taking advantage of a loophole in zoning, kind of like development. You're asking for entitlements you don't have. If you want to run one, that's fine. The state has already limited our ability to close them, and I'm not closing them. But we'll have a licensing program. It'll help us recuperate tax dollars they're not paying, and it'll just give peace of mind to residents. I talked to all the cities and some of the counties. Everyone has an ordinance. Their problem is not shutting properties down. In fact, they're not doing it. Their challenge is just making sure they're registered. Like, we're not shutting anybody down. So actually, Airbnb literally called me. They're like, hey, what's going on here? Airbnb, I figured they would. We're a county. So Airbnb called me and they said, look, we don't mind that you're doing this, but be informed. And I said, yeah, I'll talk to you guys, sure. So they sent me a whole policy toolkit. I actually agree with it. It's sound ideas. So Airbnb says go for it. Just be aware of how you want to do it, be informed. So I actually entered their policy toolkit, which is just policy recommendations, into the record. So that's what I want. So my goal is to have public workshops across the county. We'll see how that goes. Surveys, invite Airbnb in, show up. Expedia, VRBO, show up. Invite the cities, Chief Tokager, like the mayors, show up. Because I want you all to have input. I don't want an ordinance because it's such a painful process. I don't want to draft an ordinance that we just did not do the research on. That's why I said it's a year-long process. If it doesn't go through, it doesn't go through, but at least we tried. So I'm glad I had the support for it.
So you plan on having some kind of a task force for this?
We'll do
And hopefully citizens will be involved.
Yeah, 100%. We'll have public workshops. I don't know about task force, but we'll have public workshops. We'll have surveys. It'll be very, very intensive. Because I said this for anything county related, we've not had enough workshops on major county infrastructure projects, on a lot of county-led projects in general. 75th Street West, I had to demand we do a workshop on that. So I want to see more of those, and I'm glad staff are hearing that. And they like doing it, especially when commissioners show up.
How about while we're looking at vacation rentals, how about looking at some incentives for people to stop converting affordable housing into vacation rentals? Because we're getting a real affordable housing crisis. Yeah, but incentives like a tax break, okay? Something like that. I mean, you come from an area where that was a very, very important part of keeping a balance. And a lot of the problem is we're losing the balance. Okay, nobody wants to do away with vacation rentals, but we're getting to the point where somebody gets priced off the island and they end up getting priced out of the county. And that leads to a worker shortage. And a worker shortage leads to 3-hour waits for a table at a restaurant because they can't get the staff. And so just maybe when we're looking at the thing, we could look at the other side of it, some incentives for people to stop converting all the housing into transit lodging.
The county has done a lot building apartments pretty affordable. They're all over the place.
Well, we need to keep that up.
Not out here.
No. I mean, people
This is
aren't
going to
getting.
be tourism.
I know several people who have left. Okay, and I know several people who their rentals were destroyed and they can't find rental housing. And it really, it's going to lead to a crisis because we have the traffic, we already have a problem on the
Well, we
island.
have a crisis now.
Okay.
I'll say
Yeah,
this.
nobody
so I can-
wants to commute 2.5 hours to drive 10 miles to get to work.
Being the youngest member of the board, it's not lost to me that you don't see young people moving to this part of town. It just is what it is. And if you do, you're in a fixer upper that's $100, $250 to $200,000. I mean, my wife and I were very blessed. We were pretty. You didn't have to show up.
I drove 45 minutes from Sarasota.
Oh, from Sarasota, that's not bad.
It's not bad. But you didn't take Longbow Key. No.
Good.
But that's probably why it's so fast. But I'm on the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. I made a motion to bring back like gap financing as a mechanism. Not that I want to give government funding out. I think we need to bring young workers back. I'm working on 2 economic development incentive packages, not programs, to bring businesses and housing to downtown. Still working on it, so I'll bring it up when it's ready. But we have a serious problem where most of the people that are working your fire districts, your police departments, I know for a fact, and I talked to Tokager and Braden Beach PD, all their deputies, all their officers do not live even in West Manatee County. Maybe like 1 or 2 of them. Same for Longbow Key. It's funny, every time I'm going over the Skyway coming south or back, I see a lot like a Longbow Key Police Department vehicle coming down. A lot of them live in Parrish. Actually, the MSO guys don't even live in Parrish. They live even further because it's a little bit expensive up there. So they don't live here. That's a problem. So what are we doing about it? I think, one, I'm not necessarily convinced the data says that short-term affordable housing is becoming short-term rental. I think the market's just pricing out homes like mine. I mean, mine went from 300 to 600. I couldn't afford that now in 3 years because we bought in 21. But I think what's happening is the market's, because of the lack of demand, is driving up the prices. I mean, well, demand is just causing, demand supply is causing the housing market to go up. I think it's a partnership. City of Bradenton has a lot of the urban core properties that they're working to get developed into housing. I'm not necessarily a fan of putting a lot of tax dollars into it. I think the market needs to come up with that. But there's things you can do, like make sure the permitting issues are addressed, that we're not adding additional costs for that type of housing. So I think it's kind of working. I mean, there's 2 projects in downtown Bradenton. There's a 3rd one on the way to add workforce housing. Commissioner Cruz has been big on fixing the incentives because the incentives are broken today. They cover a salary range that is, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's too high. It's too high. Like, I know one single mom that works for the county that can't afford the new housing that's getting built there. So we are working to fix the incentive structure because it's broken. So we can reduce the income thresholds. But again, I don't want to, we need the market to come forward too. And the reality is that we just don't have a lot of developers that care to build that. There's a group called One Stop Housing. They do services. I'm talking to him. He's got a lot of projects, One Stop Housing. NDC guys downtown, they're building some. I think it's going to come down to City of Bradenton and Palmetto kind of fixing their land development codes, some of the ordinances, and making it easier. The reason people build north and east is because we make it easy, almost too easy to build out there. So the cities have to make it easier. I will say there is one developer. I toured their properties. They're building single-family homes, 2-bed, 2-bath, all the way to 4-bed, 3.5 bath, 3 4 bath, that are in the 250 to 350 range, which is crazy to me. It's called Simply Dwell. Like, it's just a project that came about because Manatee County did not want to, at least the Cruz from the last board didn't want to, he didn't want to continue to incentivize like the cheap, fast, like housing you see popping up everywhere. So the market came back and said, hey, here's a product. I think it's working. They're looking at building duplexes as well. So I think as we fix our codes, as we fix some of our, I would say, building practices, and we incentivize some of the more affordable units, the market will react. So I think they've reacted to that.
So I know you're involved with, I'm Sheila Grant on Cortez, and I know you've done a lot of discussion with Bruce Scherer with Annie's. Bruce is my neighbor. I'm not sure, Mr. Siddique, if you realize that a lot of people on 126th Street West are being sued by the developer across from the canal. The canal's been part of our plat since 1957, and it's actually the historic documentation basically states that those canals were created to serve the subdivisions. Now there is a deed that appeared after 40-something years saying that the developer owns that canal. And we are getting sued. Not only am I getting sued, I have a list pendants against me because now he's claiming he owns some of my land. He's
So our
on-
house was on the market, we had to take it off the market because of that.
Yeah, and it's,
We're not alone, there's 5 other of our neighbors.
try not to say.
And the marina at the end of the canal is also
West.
being sued.
Right, you know where Annie's, if you take that first right,
Is that Hunter's Point?
well, across,
Yes.
that's who's suing us.
That was originally supposed to be affordable housing.
Yeah.
And he got all of these variances because he was building affordable housing, and now he's suing everybody that.
Right. So anyways, I can't talk very much
Sure.
about the legal part of that, because obviously we're still in almost 3 years of a lawsuit. Obviously, I'm
Which is
old.
escalating as we talk. It's not going away.
Yeah, so I would love to talk to you when you get time. I know you're very busy.
You have my card, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, well, it's probably a better private conversation,
Yeah.
but I didn't, yeah, that's
I did send
that's
you a
great.
couple emails, I maybe must not have.
I apologize if I haven't gotten them.
But again, my other thing is I work nationally for a living and talk, and the defamation and like your slander that you're discussing certainly is amazing what is published, and that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Right, you should have seen the campaign now.
Yeah.
We have to run. I'm gonna leave you that.
Okay, appreciate
I'm gonna
it.
email that to you also. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
And hopefully I'll come see you on the 9th floor when I start working.
You'll be the first one in my office. I'll send you a stack of permits too. I'll look into it. So it's a canal the developer owns. They say they own that easement or something.
I actually have a note that he published, notice, no one's supposed to be in that canal according to this individual.
It's been used for 70 years for public, and now all of a sudden no one can
Built in the
go in.
50s. And, situation.
I know, right? Sure. Okay.
I'll look at it. I'll have her.
We're not mentioning names.
Yeah.
This question's gonna fire them up.
I'll look into that.
No.
But as far as Cortez, on a lighter note, I do think Swordfish Grove's got recognized as one of the top 44 restaurants in the country just 2 days ago. So congratulations, you guys do an amazing job out there. And definitely, I mean, if you guys think all Florida's dead, you ain't been down to Cortez. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, you got pelicans, fishing out there. It's a beautiful spot. So check those guys out.
Thank you.
But I'll look into your issues. I'll look into it.
I have a question, speaking for Cortez, but, is there a workshop for the local residents of the Seafood Shack area involved in any kind of meetings as to what is going to happen with the development of that property and the realignment of the roads and so forth and so on, especially with the anticipation of Cortez Bridge?
Yes, and yes. So we're currently working through Eddie's because that became a big thing. So the day after I went there, toured it, talked to Bruce. We had our 2 administrators, building official, natural resources director, sports and leisure, quite a few others. So Andy's has taken up that attention for now, but we've that was never going to be built anyways. The main property is the Seafood Shack going there. So what we're trying to do now is we fenced it off. We will have a public workshop and a website. That is what I've directed Deputy Admin Brian Purnell, Charlie Bishop to do, because we need to have those workshops. And I've asked for at least 2. So we will have those. I don't have a date yet, but we're going to have them. And I'll make sure Cortez Historic, well, the Fish Preserve, Historic Village, Historic Preservation Board, they're all going to be a part of that conversation. And I've already been working a spreadsheet of who to reach out to.
I was part of
Yeah.
the effort 14 years ago when we found out. I lived in the area for 16 years in Cortez. We had no notification. We had no idea whatsoever that Manatee County was going to buy the Seafood Shack from Ham Jones for something like $17 million. to put in boat ramps. There was no planning, there was no discussions, there was no anything, which is why we, the Concerned Citizens of Cortez Coalition, was formed to ask questions. It wasn't we don't want it in our backyard. It was how are you gonna do this with the road going right past the seafood shack? It's the access to our homes back there, with the trucks going across to launch, going back to park, going across to pick up the boat, going back to whatever, back and forth and back and forth. And with the idea that, oh, this is going to save all traffic to the beach, well, that's kind of ridiculous. Anyway, so my concern is that I am pretty sure from past experience that the county already has pretty much a plan of what they're going to do. But I have asked George since last September, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on. Of course, the hurricane and all that stuff. But I'm here to ask if there is a plan, who is planning, what is being planned, how do I find out what's going on?
So we haven't had a formal plan. We bought it for about 13 million. And that was a surprise to me, just to be honest.
That's a surprise to everyone.
Which is only the appraised value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a very
more after the docks were destroyed.
there's a
Seems like a lot of money to.
yeah.
That's of course.
We own the property. We've cleared the leases. We're at that point. I have no say on that at this point. So as far as the plan goes, there's not a formal plan, which is why I want the workshops. But the last board bought it with the intent to add boat ramps in a marina, wet slips. Now, that's just that's not even a real plan. That's just wish list. So here's what I've asked staff to do. The traffic problem in Cortez is going to be insane. It is now. So what I'm trying to do is this. We have an opportunity to relieve some of the traffic with that property. Like, we're not going to sell it back. I don't think that's great. So my plan is this. One, add sufficient parking so we can relieve traffic that'll be on the new bridge. Have a ferry service which can take you to Bridge Street in 5-10 minutes. That's it. We already have the boats to do it. We already bought a boat that'll take you from downtown Bradenton to Anna Maria in 15 minutes. Today that takes 45 with the small ones. So what that does is gets you a shorter trip from downtown Bradenton to the island. And then we'll take the two that we have and run them north-south just on the island. Eventually, Sarasota's paying us to expand it. So with Seafood Shack, my challenge is this. Let's get cars off the road. Let's get people parking there.
First.
Sure, and I'm getting to it. We're not. Sure, and I'm not done with that. This is just one part.
It's not
We'll get
helping Cortez.
So we'll get the ferry going there, but the other big thing is with the development that's happening at Seaflower, there's a few others there.
Yeah, a few million houses.
What FDOT is doing with the new bridge, they haven't even told us yet. So we're working on what the roadway will look like. My understanding is the bridge will be south of the current one.
Yeah.
There's going to be a roadway built underneath it from
I've seen it.
tide tables.
I think all of us
Sure.
have seen the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
so-
the road
so
is going to go
just so I
through
can
the
set the
100th
stage.
point.
Yeah.
That would be really great. With the big trucks at 3 in the morning going through the $1.5 million bridge, but not fancy.
Yeah, there's no the Seafood Shack, the roadways. There's no plan for that. And we're still waiting from FDOT. I don't even have a final design yet.
Is
just to
it
be honest.
normal to buy something for millions of dollars with no plan? I'm just curious.
Well,
Because it was available.
well, the idea was to add boat ramps. We have no land to really add boat ramps. That's kind of the reality there. We're working on another.
How do you spend millions of dollars without a plan?
Not me, but I mean we're working on
They
that.
worked on
I have a book.
Unless I'm at a clothing store, I might differ on that.
I get it. But hey, this is our problem now. So we're working it. But as far as the
And you also
The rest of it is-
didn't negotiate the price either after the whole place went to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
And yes, I know you were going to take the building down anyway and fix this and fix that, but now you have no income for the next 2 or 3 years until you do have a plan. Anyway, but apparently you bought it for 13 million anyway. So I'm not pointing the finger at you. I'm just mad.
that's fine.
I'm not mad, I'm just curious.
Well, and look, hey, if Manatee County were to come in, buy the property, and tell you what the plan is, and not have any public input, we'd be having a very different conversation.
Right.
So I think our plan was, I don't want to say plan, but the idea was to add boat ramps. I am now adding the ferry service. Now I haven't even gotten into this DOT is working to redesign Cortez from Bradenton Beach to Soto Square Mall, which is also getting a development. So, yeah, I didn't prove that.
Okay, well-
So what they're what they're working on, they had DOT had a workshop October of 23. So they are redesigning all of Cortez. So my vision is for Cortez from 75th onward is this. We get a trolley just for Cortez. The route takes you from Mayflower, loops through Cortez. You stop at different businesses. You stop at the marina, whatever we call it. People get off there. You can take the ferry, whatever. You then loop around. You can go to Tide Tables. You can go to the Maritime Museum. And you can park at Seaflower and that's it. I can't stop the cars that are already there. The houses have been improved. But I do want to make sure we're giving people options to just not get their cars on the road. What DOT is doing is this. They're redesigning the roadway to add transit lane. It's going to happen. They're reconfiguring some parks at bike lanes. We have the space to do it. So the long-term plan is how can I use that property to reduce the amount of cars in the road, get more people to leverage public transit, and then activate the other spots that nobody goes to. I mean, Maritime Museum, I'm trying to fix that. I'll get to that later. That's on the agenda item for Tuesday. The repairs are crazy, but I tore it. I went to the attic and did the whole thing. So trying to I've seen worse. It's crazy up there. But anyways, that's what the vision is. But again, I'm working on the public workshops. We're trying to get Annie's squared away, and then we fenced off the other property. What no one's talked about yet is we're trying to clear out about 10 to 15 boats that are just on the southern side of that property, which are actively leaking diesel fuel into the intercoastal. So that's what we're trying to clear out now. Yeah, and plans of course change from Helene and Milton, but that's what we're working on. So it'll be phased. We'll get the workshops, we'll get the website. Just takes time, unfortunately. But some of the
Question.
go.
Just piggyback on this whole marina boat ramp. One of the things, you see the traffic coming, and it's coming from east, going west, and they want to launch their boats. I think it would be really good to do, find out where these people are coming from. Are they coming from Lakewood Ranch? Are they coming from wherever up the river? Would it be better to put boat ramps where people live? And then they can put their boats where they live and then go down the river. Because all you're doing is now creating a boat ramp to bring more boat traffic in cars on a road that we're already congested. So, I've always said, why are we adding more boat ramps where we're already congested? Put them up the river, right? That's where people live, and then they don't have to drive their cars.
The river is deep, okay? That
Sorry?
is what they educated me on.
The river is
that's
deep.
my thing.
The river
They
is deep,
say that
and
there's
it's very wide.
I'm not a boater, but that's what you've got to count.
But that's where I would put in boat ramps.
Because I got her on that years ago.
There's a few boat ramps up the river, but they're very small, one single, there's nowhere to park. That's where you should be looking, is where people live.
And they need
Put the
tragic
boat
animals.
ramps where people live if you want to get cars off the road.
One of the ones we're trying to put out there is by the Sunshine Skyway. So it's been referenced a few times. There are plans to take a lot of the dredged fill material, literally create a little island, if you will, out there, and then turn that into a boat ramp. So as far as the Cortez one, the thing I'm trying to keep in mind is this. That section of Cortez is not considered in our land code historic. So one of the things I'm looking to do is extend the historic designation to that area, because that then controls the buildings, how the look and feel of buildings. Like you don't want a mega mansion popping up like that. So that's one thing we're doing. The second thing is Cortez is a working fishing village. No one's really talked about this, but we're losing working waterfront. We don't have it, right? Honestly, the biggest concern and complaint I've always got, any commercial fishermen, charter boat captains, anyone? Captain Scott knows. You guys are always fighting with residential boat owners, and there's always a concern around who gets what. The biggest gap today, certainly, everyday boaters, but the biggest gap is commercial. You guys always have to go to the island. People complain about you going to Warner's Bayou. People complain. The history and culture of this district in Cortez is built around still having a functional fishing village, working waterfront. So for me, the marina, I'm not trying to make it a destination for like some, rich guy that's got a nice big boat. I want to make sure we preserve a significant part of it for charter boat captains, for fishermen. One of the things I called out was having a fishing dock, because with two 65-foot bridges, you're going to lose, the ability to cast a line. So just having a little thing just to be able to fish out there is important, and it makes sense for the character of the community there. But we're talking about a plan to make sure we can adequately ensure there's working waterfront there for commercial uses, and then figure out where else we can do next. I mean, we have the Sunshine Skyway. This one, we have that as well, and we're considering how we can recoup some costs for the maintenance of boat ramps to then put back into amenities there. Go ahead.
Are you familiar with the plan to put a boat ramp already in Peninsula Bay?
That's why Seafood Shack happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for everyone that doesn't know, the new development owned by Whiting Preston, which everybody knows, largest landowner in Manatee County, was scheduled to have a donated area for a boat ramp. As long as the county pays for it, it's my understanding, you probably can educate me better. But this would have cost upwards of $50 to $75 million, taken 3 to 8 years in DEP and Army Corps stuff. So when this popped up, they were like, we got to jump on it. The Seafood Shack being destroyed, the value is the land piece. The value is the waterfront. The value, I mean, yes, the marina would have been nice to make some money, but that's not the end game.
Yeah, Penn Bay, and there's a long history behind it. I was talking to Jane Von Hammond, that was from her time, like 2008, before that.
For big going on.
I mean, whenever the county buys property, we always get the first reaction of like, oh, why'd you buy it? Why'd you waste taxpayer dollars on it? Well, there's a reason for it. When we bought Lena Road, that was for the landfill, because I don't want to pay more for trash. That's the reality. I pulled that back. Penn Bay has been a moving target for 30 years. I mean, we would have had to dredge, Army Corps involved, DEP involved. It was more. It was 50 million, but it started off smaller. So I actually think it was a good purchase, but what we do next really defines whether or not it's good for the community. I mean, I'm telling you, I ran a public workshops, getting all that stuff done. What happens is going to be a product of the community. We're not going to have developers come in. It's not going to be Tal's wish list. If I say something, you don't like it, then you're going to get what you want to see there. But for me, working waterfront, some form of traffic congestion, and then of course the boat ramp aspect of it. That's what we're looking to do there.
Why can't, okay, the excuse on the island why we can't have county stickers to prioritize county resources for county people is it would affect beach reefer. Okay, why can't we institute a sticker system at the new boat ramps that are not on the island, where they're county use only, and to accommodate the commercial, you can have a commercial permit and a residential permit and prioritize some of the lot use for commercial. I really think it's time for this county to start protecting county resources and prioritizing county residents getting first use. Okay, snowbirds that have licenses down here, have car charters down here, could get the stickers. But that way we wouldn't have people driving in from Pinellas and Hillsborough because they're avoiding their own fees on things. I think Seafood Shack, we really need to look at that, because you can't say there's any reason in Cortez not to prioritize it for county residents.
Is there any thought of charging? I know it's very unpopular, but every boat ramp you go to in the state, every beach you go to in the state, you pay to park at it, you pay to launch your boat. Go down south, go to Naples, go anywhere in the state. Scott will tell you.
County
You
stickers.
pay $50, $60, $70 to park your boat, launch your boat for a day. In most places that are this beautiful, this valuable, and the beach reefer money, my understanding, Longboat Key doesn't take that money.
Yeah, we don't.
And they get to play by their own rules.
It's just the excuse.
So if the island stops
why
taking
we
that money,
can't have
they don't have to
prioritized
play
it.
by those rules.
Okay.
But they want the money.
Right, that's my point. Okay, that with beach parking, our excuse why we can't take it, even though we have surplus spaces above what we're required to have, is that in order to get the beach reefer funds, we have to treat everyone equally. But we can't use that excuse with Seafood Shack, because there are no federal funds that are gonna depend on it. So why, and like you're saying, stickers could be more expensive for
Right.
recreational voters than for commercial boaters. Okay?
I'll say
And-
this, I haven't been very public about it because we don't have a real plan. That is the conversation that we're having around the marina property. And the
How do you
idea,
not? I mean,
sorry?
how do you not charge?
Yeah,
And then apply a discount for residents or fishermen with a commercial products license.
the reason we don't really talk to, one, we don't have a real plan, but two, I'm very careful when levying any kind of fees or whatnot for an amenity. You know, we all saw what happened with the concessions 4 years ago when Scott Hopes came in and rated it for improvements, and then those improvements never happened.
Right.
So, and then the golf course is another example too. But you know, the marina property gives us an opportunity to have an Annie's-like amenity, which is never, we don't have the space for it any other boat, marina or boat ramp. So that's something I know Commissioner Cruz has spoken about in the past. I want to see it. We're not ready to propose it, but that's where the thought is. And what I've told staff is this: give me a business model and make sure the money that's collected from boat ramps stays in boat ramps.
Sure. Yeah.
I do not want to see boat ramp money going towards fixing some park out in Parish.
Isn't that why the Skyway has those beautiful lights on it and everything, because of all that toll money is legislated to only be spent on that piece of road, and it raises so
So
much
stickers
money.
could
My
be free
fear
with
with the
the
county-
proper documentation.
What they need to know about the boat ramps is FWC puts money in, the county puts money in. A lot of our boat, and of course, our boat licenses pay for that, okay? Understanding. And the main thing is we've been lucky here because we've had good people with grants. So yeah, directly, they've saved us money as taxpayers. And you got to understand, a lot of people say, well, people come in from this county to use our boat ramps. Well, FWC, they pay too because they have, and that's the reason why that happens. One of the main reasons. Most of the areas now, so you understand, Tampa, you got to pay to use boat ramps. Okay, we've been very fortunate here with our boat ramps, and actually some of them as nice as they are. Okay, very fortunate.
Is there anything that precludes a county use sticker?
No,
You know, I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
I think for me, it has to have, again, public input. It needs to make sense. There's always going to be someone that says no, and I'm very careful when we're saying we're putting fees out there for boat ramp or marina usage. Their consensus is this is a good opportunity for us to try with this property, but again, I want to make sure the money we collect stays right where, and it doesn't have to be that property. Like maybe the marina, money we collect there can also be used at the Skyway, but Manatee County's had a massive problem with just taking money, raiding funds, and then placing them elsewhere. I mean, the concessions are just one example. Yeah, don't talk to me about like the Southwest Tax Increment Fund, which we've been raiding for years. Medians, housing, it makes no sense. But I'm extremely careful with a fund, but I do think it's going to come. We just need to see a real business case for it.
It's got more boat ramps.
No, I've been very fortunate on that one, but just understanding technically the county, your tax,
Where's your sign?
He did tell me about
It's
that.
coming.
He did tell me about that.
David, the hurricane and everything, so I can understand. So what I want people to ever not realize, that frontage there isn't anything. There's nothing. I mean, we're lucky we're getting a boat ramp, okay? And I feel for the people around it. I think the county will make it right to the people living around there. There's things they can do. They can do some foliage around there. They do it right, okay? Hey, when Ham had that restaurant, do you know how many people were going in and out of that parking lot? Do you know how many cars?
Policemen out there?
Yeah, they had policemen out.
Police out
But
there.
the bottom line is understanding we're really fortunate we're getting that. And of course, hopefully we'll get another ramp up towards the Skyway.
Yeah.
Just for the fact that, let's say if you were out, let's say you were fishing the Skyway. She had a heart attack. Where are you going to get them off the boat? What's the closest place? There's no place to get anybody off the boat there, to get them in an ambulance. So there is, just for safety reasons, from there all the way to Port Manatee, if somebody has a problem, okay? And our sheriff department, these guys you see out there running around,
thank goodness we've got them out there because they run a lot of medical stuff. People having a medical problem. So I just want everybody to know in the room. And I'm really happy with what you're doing, Cynthia. And over the years, we've been very fortunate. We don't have to pay to use the boat ramps.
Yeah, I think with the
It
demand,
may be coming, but all these years.
I think with the demand we have that's coming, something else I've been looking into is the public safety part. So
Yes.
West Manatee Fire, they run rescues, Beach Patrol does some stuff, MSO's out there. So one of the other things has been how can we get people, get our first responders notified that something's happening. I mean, you can always radio in something. Things I've been looking into with our parks in particular, maybe we can extend it to boat ramps, or like those emergency call boxes that you have. You just press, you see it around university towns mostly. You press a button, it's lit up. It's like a blue little kiosk. It goes to your first responder. It goes to dispatch. I haven't looked into it for boat ramps. I can. It's not a big deal, but
Let's get a fish cleaning team.
yeah, right.
I think Nate's buying one.
Yeah.
Let's get a fish cleaning.
Nate's buying one.
Okay.
The previous owner of the Seafood Shack wanted to build luxury condominiums. That was their whole plan.
Yes.
The whole time. And
Wow.
they ditched that when they learned it was going to be the local regulations and the area was going to be incompatible with that.
And I was told the last commissioner was going to turn into hotels anyways. So
Yeah, but that never flew either, man.
Yeah.
And you saw what happened with the last commissioner, so
Yeah,
that's what we have to say on that.
that's kind of why I like the historic district. I think I'll fight to extend it. I don't know if I'll get a lot of headache over it, but if not, I mean, I would never change the zoning for that to anything else. I'm not voting to rezone it for housing. Like, that's never going to happen. I'm not doing that.
Well,
You ask a lot of questions. Anyone else?
just one last thing. We have 1,100 people that we've lost at the state, and we've got 6,000 new homes just in Cortez with sunflower, sea flower, or whatever it's called. So I think I'm concerned about who's going to be monitoring that enormous project since we're 1,100 people short at the state.
Well, we did rehire. We just had that massive turnover. But yeah,
Yeah, okay.
many of them. Yeah.
We
Sure.
certainly could use some good building officials.
Yes.
Yes, okay, okay. So I'd like to make a plug for the library, if you don't mind. This is like off course a little bit, but as you can see, this library is a jewel, and it was used immensely during the two storms. We had bathrooms here, we had food carts here, we had people coming in that were, looking for help for FEMA, and right now we haven't gotten a really warm and fuzzy feeling from the county as to how these little neighborhood libraries are going to survive. So as our representative, I'd like to make a plug for the fact that we just today we had Captain Scott here. Today we had 50 people here to listen to dolphins and stingrays. Next week we're going to have Alzheimer's. So if we could possibly not have to have the roadblocks and like people on the boards for the libraries, that would be very helpful for us. So if you can do anything to kind of promote us a little bit, we would be very grateful.
Get the appointments made.
I would add to that, as
like
the applicant to appoint a new library advisory board finally, that we keep that in mind, including a referendum.
My understanding of town is all of those applicants that applied twice have to reapply again. And that's ridiculous. That just doesn't make any sense to
Should
me.
be able to look at the old applications.
I thought it was. I'm not particularly happy with the way previous boards have addressed that. I mean, there's no. I don't get too partisan over library boards. I mean, I think everyone deserves a fair shot. But I think the comments made by some commissioners that some people just don't belong because they think they have a different perspective. I mean, I welcome all perspectives. I love debating people that don't agree with me. But I think, as we've seen tonight, but maybe not so much. But I like having more people on the advisory boards. In our January 7th or 8th was the first week or so. Strategic planning workshop session. We identified the need to just get that done. So I'll have to track down where we are.
I could actually speak to that
Yeah, go for it.
very briefly, and I'm sorry to interject,
That's good.
but we do have of the Library Advisory Board, we submitted the agenda item for March 4th, I believe, and the board will be 5 members. It will not be the expanded board, and the only seat that we had applications for this time was the island seat, which is any of the island communities. And unfortunately, because everyone's been all tied up with the storm, the applications were way down, way down. We had a great deal of interest, but the delay and then the storms. So, but I will also add that when the advisory board is running again, it's public, and I'd love to see you all at the meeting. So Tammy Parrott, Library Services Manager for the county. So.
Tammy, thank you for doing all you do. Tammy and I were in leadership Manatee together. It was a really good experience just learning about the county. So thank you.
No, thank you.
If I could just add, the staff at this library was here. I don't know, Aaron, how many days after the storm you reopened?
It was a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Aaron and another staff member live on the island. Their home, they were here, and their homes were in the same condition of many of us who live on the island. So they are to be applauded for just yeoman's work, just bringing normalcy, inviting people in to sit and be quiet and cool and a place to regroup mentally.
Yeah. This is my home library branch. It's closer for me than Central. Central, we're trying to fix and repair. We've had challenges with library management. Don't get me wrong. We've had libraries move from community and veteran services to sports and leisure, and I don't know. But what I told Molly White is this: she's done a great job programming for parks. I mean, GT Bray and the programming there has just gotten it's fantastic. Has everything worked out well? I mean, feedback is that we're doing well. We've got a 5K program coming. I mean, she's done a fantastic job of programming. And my challenge is that as a county, we haven't always highlighted the good work done by the library services. I mean, we haven't even so much as shared Facebook posts before. Now we're doing that. I'm seeing that happen. But my challenge to Molly White was this: when I did the tour of GT Bray, and now libraries fall under her. Do what you did at GT Bray and in our parks, but make sure libraries get as much attention as all the other stuff you're doing. Make sure people know about it. I mean, one of the first things I looked at was what are some of the programs that happen at the libraries, and there's everything from helping some of our older residents just better understand how to use technology. There's free tax prep and filing happening pretty soon. There's a lot of cool stuff that happens at libraries. Nobody talks about it, and nobody highlights it. So I think they're getting the message. We're starting to put out a little bit more Facebook posts, social media messaging around programming there. The county Facebook page is finally adding more events, like my town hall. They're finally advertising that. But I'd like to see more community ideas for programming. That's really the big thing. Like we don't build many new libraries. We just don't have space. Lakewood Ranch took forever. But if we can refurbish, revitalize some of those buildings like Central, and make sure places like this are in good shape, it's just about how can we make them engaging. I'll put a plug in for one of the biggest challenges we're seeing in Manatee County. And I was just in Tampa over for a conference for a luncheon talking about this problem. But the third grade, the reading levels in Manatee County and Florida are just terrible. K through 12, you have I think 55% of third graders can't even read up to the level. I might be messing up the number, but it's bad. And so one of the big things for me with libraries is, can we engage with our nonprofits? Can the county make it more of a pressing need to just find those gaps and get folks closer to where the kids are? So I'll tell you where in Bradenton, Mayor Brown and I have been speaking about it, and I'm sure he's talked to other commissioners, is how can we add more neighborhood libraries? And we're working through what that concept looks like. So City of Bradenton is talking to us about something by LECOM, so TBD on that one. And I'm looking at more options. We don't necessarily have to have massive libraries everywhere, but we do need to get books closer to where the people are. The library staff are awesome. They have a mobile book vending. It's awesome. I've seen that in downtown. It's getting books closer to kids.
Since the 70s.
I mean, now it's got a slick wrap and everything. So we're finding new ways to get books to kids, and I'm open to any other ways to just get kids involved. You've been asking.
We hear a lot about the city of Bradenton about sewage discharges into the Manatee River. And they lost a lawsuit from the Suncoast Waterkeepers a few few years ago. They're required to report any incident, reportable events. It's at their website, and it keeps happening. And I know that's wastewater is really expensive. Has there been any discussion at the county level about helping Bradenton improve their facility?
There has. So when I heard about the 255 million, my first call was to Gene Brown. Said, hey, we just got 255 million. No city's got any of this money. It's supposed to go towards resiliency. It's supposed to go towards lifting some homes. There's also income restrictions, so we can't apply it to every city, which I'm very disappointed with. But I told Gene, give me your project list. I told Mark Short. I told Judy Titzborough, give me your projects. I will fight for you guys because you're all my district. And so thankfully, I've gotten project requests. At the last board meeting, Commissioner Cruz and I also spoke to it. We'll get a briefing later. But Bradenton has asked for about $25 million, and that money will go towards lifting homes, re-sleeving sewer systems and stormwater systems. Because their problem is, and I learned this when I was canvassing that part of the district, because a big portion of the city of Bradenton's in my area. Most of the infrastructure, I mean, you've got clay pipes, you've got that don't even exist, so you have to redo them. They're in people's backyards, so that's a problem. And then I've heard even worse, older material. I don't even know how many lead pipes are out there. So their problem is they do have a plan. It's just going to take time. Even Mayor Brown said if they had the money today, they still couldn't solve it today. So they're building a new facility. They are building a new water. I forget what it's called. They're building an extension to the treatment facility to hold more water. Their problem is not the carrying capacity. It's they have so much intrusion coming from stormwater and rainfall. So with the money that we'll give them, I've been assured they're going to re-sleeve and relay or just lay down new pipes throughout the city of Bradenton. So I'm hopeful that will make a significant difference. Not going to solve everything. They also are working through their lobbyists, through their grant funding, grant writers, and so on. And I've offered all help to the mayor because, again, nobody cares, where the lines are drawn between Holmes Beach, Bradenton Beach, state of Florida, county. Nobody cares. I don't care. I take city, county, and state roads to get to the office every day. Nobody cares who owns it. They care about where the problem is.
Can the state help? Because the water's going in the river and it's flowing out the guy.
So I think where we're at is at least with the lawsuit with water keepers, that money has to go towards remediation. So it's not money they're pocketing. It's going towards that effort, which is good. Not great that they had a lawsuit, but the county's putting money in. City of Bradenton is trying. They don't have as much money as we do revenue. So they're trying, and our state representatives, Will Robinson and Jim Boyd, are actively trying to get appropriations. Now, a lot of that got vetoed last session, but House Speaker Perez mentioned that all the vetoed projects are being reviewed, and with Senator Jim Boyd coming in as our Senate President in 2 years, it's a great opportunity for us to line up the asks and just get money. I'm not saying everything will be fully funded, but to answer your question, yes, county's helping Bradenton. I've made it a top priority because I'm tired of the sewage discharge too. And I think it is our job as a county to support our cities in any way we can.
I want to just remind you, Terracea is still on septic tanks.
They are. And so is Sneed Island.
And Sneed Island. And we need to get that. We need to get that up. And of course, if I'm a homeowner, it's expensive. We got to make it affordable to the people that are retired out there. And that's one of the biggest problems with educating people on the hookups and everything. The county has a great facility, tertiary plant. They're all set to go. All they got to do is get it hooked up. But the individual homeowners, they're not going to want to hear it, I'm sure. But that's one thing you may want to look at, and you can get some of that money to make that happen. And also, 2 years ago, I asked a couple of the commissioners, why couldn't the county run a pipe to the city of Bradenton and handle some of that tertiary that they had problems with? And it was very costly. It just didn't add up. And they are trying to get that online. And I didn't know there was that much problem with intrusion of the water. That's a big deal. And with City of Tampa, by the way, and then I'll get off this, the City of Tampa dumps millions of gallons in Tampa Bay.
That's the good.
5 times, 10 times more than the City of Bradenton, okay? And it does affect us here. They need to clean up their act. The City of Tampa needs to clean their act up too, okay? And of course, need to get that federal money. We need to get that, we need to get that money, understand it.
So, I'll speak to the septic, the sewer. So I did a lot of research, and I canvassed Sneed Island, Jersey, I know those ones well. So the problem they have up there is leak. I might mess this up, but if you're under if you're at a certain elevation or lack thereof, you can't legally replace your septic systems. You have to. I mean,
Right.
I'm not saying people haven't, but legally you can't. And so I've heard stories about people having to replace them. So the problem with Sneed Island is what I'm working on. This relationship building with Palmetto.
Right.
We've looked at how to get a water line, not even through Palmetto, but under the river to Sneed Island, because that is a problem. Water quality with sewage seeping up. So no, I'm working it. You got to get a relationship.
I understand.
The city of Palmetto's got a new mayor, Dan West. He's pro-growth, wants to see that city succeed. We're here to help him out. And I do cover parts of City of Palmetto plus Sneed Island. So it's a work in progress. I'll say that. I do want to see them go septic to sewer.
Right.
Larger counties than us, like Miami-Dade County, have a program where they have the water connection. We just have to extend the lines, and then homeowners, we have to figure out who's going to pay for the final connection. But getting that sewer line, it literally just stops right where the line from county to city ends. There's no reason other than politics and money, but politics mostly to get that line up there.
You got to make it affordable, people.
And then the cost. So it's something that I've talked to Palmetto about. There's a lot of history behind it, but getting septic to sewer going is a real thing. There's federal grant money in the state too. But in general, it's not just Terracea and Sneed Island. That's a small portion. It's everyone else too in the county. So having a comprehensive program, I haven't really workshopped it much. Stormwater is coming up Wednesday, but that is something that Sneed Island, a lot of those folks have talked to me about. Something I'm trying to work on.
Good. Great.
I have a lot of stuff to work on.
Right. Yeah.
Water quality is a big one. You had a question, yeah.
Karen Hodge. I've lived on the island for 30-some years. My mother and I currently live just off 75th Street, Bradenton. First of all, I want to thank you for holding this town hall. It's nice to have elected officials who actually want to hear from the people.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch gears a little bit here. I'm on the board of the Friends of Manatee County Animal Welfare, so we advocate for adopting, not shopping. And I'd like to, and I want to, give respect for the issues that you guys are going through, because it's on the hierarchy. Obviously, it's a lot different. I won't say it's more important because this issue is important to me, but your issues are. I have sympathy and empathy for you, especially since I lived out here for a long time, and I have good friends that still do and lost everything. Anyway, I'd like to hear what your feelings are, what your thoughts are on reinstating the retail ban of animals being sold at local stores. There are other stores and other companies and corporations that are doing just fine with not selling animals, such as Petco and Pet Supermarket. Petland does get their animals from puppy mills. It's documented. When you talk about data, the data is there. The dogs that are bred back at the puppy mills are not usually bedded, they're not in good conditions, and unfortunately the Department of Agriculture in our state and federal, as long as they have room to turn around in a cage and have some kind of food and water, which is usually not there or mildewed, they are allowed to be in those situations with crates on top of each other, and when they have to go to the bathroom, the excrement just drips down into the crates below them. So that's the real reality of where these cute little puppies at Petland and other retail stores like Sunshine Puppies come from. And so I'd like to hear, I know it's on the agenda for Tuesday.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of public comment, hopefully, but it is a important issue for a lot of people in this county because we love our animals. We've domesticated these animals. It's our right. It's our responsibility to take care of them because they are voiceless. So I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on reinstating them.
I think it'll pass. I think you have broad support.
We need 2 more commissioners.
I think you have the votes. I think you have 4. I'm just doing the numbers in my head. I think you've got the votes for it.
Bans with that man and not sell. Yeah. And what they did was they were allowed to in Sarasota. Sarasota passed the ban. They kicked them out. So what did they do? They moved all their stores up in Manatee County, and our commissioners didn't have the you know what to put the ban. And they did the ban, and then we got the new commission, 2 commissions ago. They took the ban off the table, and you know. Yeah, and so now hopefully we're really hoping for this new commission that it will pass.
I thought it was interesting. Commissioner Cruz said it has to go to the Animal Service or Animal Welfare Task Force, where we're calling it. I mean, I get it. I think he could have that motion succeed Tuesday if he wanted to. I'll ask him in the board meeting.
I think anybody that's on the Animal Welfare Task Force is going to vote for it to be.
It's probably a four. I respect that he's going through the process. I think he could have just asked for a motion. He'd probably get it. I'd vote. I mean, I think even the previous board after the election results, actually before then, January or early part of 24, definitely after, they were walking back some of that. I think the only concern I heard from some pet owners was, will the ban create a second order impact where you will see some more backyard breeders? I don't know what the truth behind that is. Not that it's going to affect my vote. I think I'm still voting to reinstate it.
Yeah, unfortunately, from what I understand, and I've done my research on this, is the Department of Agriculture statewide does not have the amount of staff, and it's probably even less staff than when I checked 2 years ago, to enforce those laws. So, you know, Craigslist backyard breeders, and breeders, reputable breeders, would never ever sell their animals to a puppy store, a store. Ever.
Yeah, I suspect it'll pass. I mean, I think at least 4 of us, 4 of us have spoken on that.
So you're in favor?
Yeah, I think you've got, that's pretty easy for me. I think it's something we want to see happen. Broader animal welfare conversation, there's a lot. So I'll say this, our staff care about it. It's just when you have so many boards and a lot of instability, you just lose progress. We've lost forward progress in a lot of issues. So I think we're the board that's settling that finally.
It's always 3 steps forward, 5 steps back.
Unfortunately, I mean, our administrators, I've talked to all of them. It's a very heated issue. I get it. So I think we'll solve this. No, the longer arc for this is, I toured before last year or earlier this year, I forget when, but I toured the property in Palmetto, the animal shelter, before that discussion item came up before the board, and it's not in great shape. I'll just leave it at that.
No,
we need to get, my vision for it is we get those kennels built at MSO, the jail property. Now we're just figuring out where. The Bishop ones, I think that was a vote at the last meeting. I was out, but that vote went forward.
But the Bishop things were supposed to be done 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I was at the commission meeting when the general contractor and the builder said to the commission asked, well, is it going to be like 2 or 3 years? They're like, oh no, we're breaking ground, 6 months from now, and it still hasn't even broken ground. So what's the status of that?
As I understand it, there was some kind of a traffic study request that delayed it, which came back saying, hey, you won't generate significant trips, so you should. Okay. I asked. That was one reason. I can't say what other reasons because I wasn't a commissioner then, but we just executed a GMP. Don't ask me what that means.
I was going to ask you.
I think it's a general. There's so many acronyms. There's more acronyms than with the Air Force when I was working for them. I got the DoD ones, not the county ones. But there's I think a purchasing agreement or something. Somebody's going to chew me out to get it wrong. Sorry?
Guaranteed maximum.
Yeah, that's what it is. We executed a guaranteed maximum price contract that's actually correct. Not minimum. It's not minimum. But we executed that for the Bishop Kennels, so that's moving forward.
I'm sorry, well,
The Bishop Kennels are moving forward. I'll just leave it at that. So we're actively trying to get them built and placed there. So that's step 1, 2. More broadly, Manatee County wants to, I want to, get rid of that building after we've rehoused the dogs. It's just dogs now. There's no cats there anymore. A lot of people have been asking me about what to do with that. I've had friends of the Pelicans ask, plenty of others. I don't want to turn over a building that's not in good shape, but I don't want to ever use that for any animal housing at all. But one, it's so remote. I mean, don't talk to me about traffic north and south. I was stuck in it today, both ways.
it's a fire hazard, it's electrical hazard.
Yeah, it floods. I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of challenges with that property, but I'd like to get out of that. Now, what we are doing is standing up, because look, it's like adoptions for anything. You'll always see some people, a lot of people just not do adoptions because the cost of healthcare for pets, just the amount of love and effort you have to put into some of those animals. So the gap there is a resource center for owners that don't want to just dump their animals at a shelter, but need not financial assistance, but advice, and certainly some healthcare needs if they're, don't have enough money. So I think what we're working to put up is somewhere around downtown, not downtown, somewhere around, I've already broken ground on it, somewhere around Turning Points, that area, 9th Street West, that area. Manatee County already owns property. We will create a animal welfare resource center. And the idea is you can bring your pet if you have health issues, if you just have questions, if you need advice, whatever you need. We're not sheltering anybody. We're not training. We're not sheltering anything
So
there.
vaccines, possibly.
I don't have a comprehensive list of all the services, but I talked to Sarah Brown from Community Veteran Services. That's the goal. And honestly, that's really the big gap. It's like it's answering the underlying need, which is why do people leave their pets in the first place? I mean, besides costs and pet insurance, that if we can give people resources to avoid that, fantastic. Even less animals to shelter. So that's what we're working to build next.
There's a food pantry at the shelter, and a lot of people don't know about it. People come in and they say, you have to take my pet because it's county, taxpayer run, you have to take it. And because I can't feed it. Well, we have a food pantry that will give you a 50-pound bag of dog food,
Yeah.
To take home to get you through that month. And we do also with meals
May I
on
have
Wheels
your
for shuttle.
attention, please? The library will be closing in 10 minutes. If you have any materials.
I'm gonna get you. You had your hand up. I'll get to you and you and you.
We just learned
if there's any post-storm review of emergency management, in particular FEMA, that you're aware of, any workshops or anything like that? Because FEMA in particular has left families in bad shape.
Not one for FEMA's performance. I will tell you, I've witnessed some turnover from FEMA. We actually lost our point of contact as elected officials. Somebody new came in, and the communications been spotty. So I've had to help a few people up by Sneed Island just get their applications through.
And real concern around the lack of communication between county, city, and FEMA, right? And I think in emergency management, coming from that background, that needs to be in place, and that review needs to happen. I mean, we lost 3 businesses in Braden Beach, and I think you're well aware of the shape that we're in.
Yeah.
And it's disheartening, right? And that's a real leadership issue. I challenge the leadership across the board that you guys look at that one wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I mean, there should be a review. There should be a workshop, right? How do we perform? How can we do better? Because families, individuals were left out, left behind.
That's one of the things that happened. I'll have to double check if we saw that. I don't think I've seen it before the board. I mean, there's always an after action report, for various incidents, for whatever incident it is, fire goes through an EMS. There's always that type of thing. I have not seen that from the county. I'll make sure to bring that up in the next board meeting. Well, I'll tell you this: staff don't necessarily get out in front like they used to, and I think we're just trying to make it more comfortable as board members to say, hey, we're not going to just fire you for it. We're going to make sure you do your job, give residents the answers they need, the reports, and be transparent. I will tell you, we are working on a study for East County. It's not us, but Hurricane Debbie, there was a lot of concern over the flooding, why it happened, who's responsible, dam release, and more. So that's in its 3rd and final draft. It should be out. That's the only study I'm aware of that we're working on. And as far as an after action report here, we've done the closest thing we've done is debris removal reports, but I'll get after what we do.
You don't think that's a little off?
Yeah, we need more. I 100% agree with you.
I mean,
as a board,
given the impact that it's left on our community and the footprint, do you not think that deserves more attention?
One thing that I have been pushing for, and something we're seeing now, it's called COAD, Community Organizations After Disaster. And Manatee County is required to stand one. And what a COAD, C-O-A-D, is it's a way to bring all the organizations that were going to help post-disaster together and get them talking. We did not do that. And that's a failure on Manatee County where I'm challenging them to fix. So the goal is you bring American Red Cross, Meals on Wheels, Salvation Army, everybody together.
It starts
start
with our
talking.
community leadership. With
Yeah.
It starts with county.
Yeah.
So no dancing around.
Yeah.
County, city, and state.
So we had the first meeting this month. I'm trying to get another meeting because I'm told April, but we need one in March.
We're 6 to 8 months out, right?
Yeah, we need to have that down.
We haven't heard response from FEMA, right? You know our status from the city, right? And then we want to sort of talk it through.
I'll tell you from the county's perspective, we have a lot of experienced professionals that know how to get access to resources. Sorry about Bradenton Beach, but if I can help, let me know because we have people that have direct.
We're in your county.
Yeah. Well, if you have a case. No, I know. If you have a case, my question.
Oh, I do.
Send me the case number.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be okay. The other question. You too. Sure.
Hey, thanks for coming today. Thanks for hosting this. It's great. My name is Brandon Burr. I'm a local medical provider. I live on 21st and 51st, kind of in West Bradenton, I believe. Sir, that's your territory as well. And I've heard a lot of complaints, or I heard something about animals today. And that thoroughfare on 21st Avenue going to Blake is a straight shot for city cops to roll their lights on and race on, normal racers to race on, ambulances to race on, animals being hit, kids running out of the street. And I'm wondering, like, as a medical provider and as a resident, like, I know that there are other streets that are parallel with 21st Avenue that goes directly to Blake Medical Center that have speed bumps and have other speed deterrents. And as a result, they don't have city and county ambulances and EMS and city cops and county sheriffs and the street racers rolling down their avenues. And I'm wondering, like, today, like, what can we do to protect our kids? What can we do to protect our animals? What can we do to protect our elderly? What can we do to protect our homes from the traffic that is coming down 21st Avenue that is literally, 500 meters of drag strip? And I'm here 5 years. I moved down here for COVID on a response team. Fell in love with Manatee County, and I have a home right on 21st, and you can hear the people from all hours of the day, and I didn't know if there was a task force or if there was a way in which that we could, preserve the sanctity of our neighborhood and of the county on that 21st Avenue issue. So that was my question to you that I had. Second question I have to you, if I could, because I have your attention, is I'm a huge fan of TT Bray Recreation Center, and it's come to my attention. I'm an athlete that the aquatic center there has been closed for years now, the pool, and they had this wonderful, like, outreach to community members, like, hey, by the way, it's free, bring everybody. Oh, by the way, we're going to be doing 2 years worth of construction concrete work, and then we're going to finish that only to not have the heaters work, only to wait 5 months for the heaters to work, only now we're going to staff it with public safety lifeguards that are just hanging out, playing on social media while the pool is not working. And my curious question is, like, who oversees these budget dollars to have, like, I know that I can have my pool fixed in, I don't know, 2 weeks time, any part I want. It's not cheap, but I can have it done. And these guys aren't, I mean, it's been 4 months that we haven't had a pool heater. We've waited 18 months for the pool to be open again. And, like, I just feel like it's not Anna Maria Island. I get it, right? It's West Brady.
Yeah, I can answer real quick. I'll get to others. Pool heater, part shortage. I hate saying that, but I did talk to Molly about it. That's really been a big cause of delays, but I'll get specific timelines for you and then get my card. And then as far as the speed bumps, 21st Avenue, we get backlash putting them in, not putting them in. I'm more on the cautious side, so I got some speed signs put in for Harbor Hills. that kind of discourages it. So what our standard for speed bumps is this: we want at least 2/3 of the neighborhood residents to just come together and say we want that, because I'm dealing with a situation on 9th Avenue Northwest where I'm getting serious heat for putting speed bumps in. But it's a balance. Like
we have 92% of people that have signed the petition.
Which one is?
For speed bumps on 21st Avenue.
I did get 2 letters in the mail, one from like mostly Palmasola Boulevard with signatures, but email it to me.
This is 21st going to Blake Medical Center, straight shot to Blake from, like, if you go all the way to 41st to Blake, so 41st to 60th is just a straight shot of racing. I would challenge anybody to come and hang out for an hour and watch the cops, watch the ambulances, watch the fire trucks, watch the street racers just roll by the street.
Email me the details, I'll take care of it, because I've been trying to prioritize getting some of those put in.
I'm willing to pay for my own speed bumps to guarantee if you just let it sit, okay, and I'm not gonna get heat, I'll buy my own and put it out there.
We'll make sure you don't buy your own, but I'm working to put those in because we just haven't prioritized them. But get my card, email me, and then we'll get out there.
The pool's open at 58 degrees.
Question.
This is true.
Sure.
So,
There's no heater.
All the county commissioners have gotten their own aides now, and we all know that you've got yours, but yours is working remotely. So the folks here are not going to have the advantage of office hours with your aide, unlike the other commissioners. What is your plan with that? I mean, because you don't have you don't have the additional help to have office hours in the libraries like everyone else is going to have. So what's up with that, please?
I give people my number, and pretty much everyone calls me directly. I mean, I gave people my cell phone number. So I think everyone's approached the aid situation differently. I mean, I'm younger, I've always worked remote. So for me, I brought in a very overqualified aide that knows policy. But when it comes to permits, she's been getting them through. When it comes to phone calls, we've been addressing concerns there. I mean, I get some commissioners want to have an aide they can send to town halls to get yelled at instead of commissioners. I show up in person and I give people my number because when you call me, you know you're going to get something done. I don't like sending my aide to do stuff for me. That's not how I operate. So for me, I figured, well, this is the person that meets and exceeds the qualifications I wanted to see. I mean, I get it. Some people value in person. If the job gets done and it's getting done, then I'm okay with it. Also, we don't have office space on the 9th floor, so you've got 2 aides that are kind of rotating, plus some are remote anyways, so they're mostly remote to begin with if they want to be. So the remote argument, I mean, I kind of see it. As far as the district, for me, downtown's pretty central, so anyone can show up, and I've had a number of appointments downtown show up. But again, if you're dealing with me directly, but if I can't answer your calls, which does happen, I send her the voicemail, she takes care of it. But it's just a difference in philosophy. I mean, I've worked remote for 5 years now, very resource-constrained environments, DoD, local. It works for me. So
I don't know. I mean, it's just that George had said that he was working with Tammy and that would be like a space in like these branches, so they wouldn't have to fight and go 30 minutes to go downtown. They could come here and like maybe like 1 or 2 days a week. It'd be up to you, but that was the idea. And so I admit I was a little disappointed that we wouldn't have somebody here that would be more accessible in all of the districts that could do that. So just want to. That's a concern that I've heard from some folks. You know, I live next door to your community, not this one, but
that's fine. I mean, I tell people I'll show up. I've gone to the island. Me coming to the island is not a big difference. I mean, as far as Palmetto and North, I've gone to Rabonia, Terracea. I'll physically go there. And I think, again, for me, you know, commissioners in the past have always thought they were big shots. I just show up. I'm not that special. But look, I think I get it. I have a different philosophy on what an aide should do. I think throwing aides to the wolves instead of the commissioners being directly out there, I have a different philosophy on that. So as far as having office space in the libraries, I'd rather have people have that space rather than my aide take up space. So, and we're limited on space in Central anyways. So, I mean, people can get to me; they get the resources they need, and have a good aide that's been taking care of the community. Last question, and then anyone just call, email me anytime.
Just piggyback off of him, like, is there, post storms, has there been an assessment on, or a stormwater management company that's gone in? Because I've been here 10 years I lived in Holmes Beach. We've never, ever, ever had flooding, even with little rains. I'm on 77th Street. They constantly doing these, dig up your front yard, put gravel, silt layer that doesn't work, that's created more flooding. And because we've never really had a stormwater management company that knows what to do with the valves, what to do with the collection, everything is so old. We have standing water where it should be vacated out into the Bimini Bay. It's constant in homeowners' front yards down the street. I mean, it's a serious problem. So if you have standing water before a storm, even though we haven't had rain in like a month, something's not working. So I just want to know, to all the islands, I mean, is the county looking?
Right, since the county did the work?
Yes, the county did the work, and since the previous, whatever she was, engineer and her dad did the work, and all these other, we keep getting money to do this work, but it's not really overseen by a stormwater management company or an engineer that knows stormwater management, not a traffic engineer, not a whatever, construction engineer. So I'm just wondering, have you hired or looked into that?
We're at the county level. We have enough staff, at least for stormwater. We need to hire more. I want to see a good case before we start contracting out hiring. I will say,
for the island.
not for the island. We've always relied on the cities for it. Now, I'm speaking with the mayors. I think there's been different techniques. I mean, you guys can speak more to it, but whether it's pumping out water, I mean, the county's willing to help the cities if there's a plan. And Holmes Beach has come to us with about $2 to $3 million. Let me know what the number is. $2 to $3 million worth of stormwater related projects.
I don't think it's working.
But
What she's talking about is that Holmes Beach did their work, and then the county came in and they undid everything that Holmes Beach did. And so what she specifically is talking about is a county issue.
Which
And it's good.
Okay, that's the water main.
The water main on Holmes Beach.
Okay, they
is
put in
called
two
Holmes
small
Boulevard.
things.
Has literally created, that street never flooded.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been like it's been horrible ever since you did it.
which street?
Holmes Boulevard, right in the center
Yeah,
of
I
the
mean,
island.
they burst a pipe going into our condo that they claimed was
Right.
our problem.
So I don't know what
Okay,
was
George
done, but,
helped us with that.
right.
Hey, Tal, I'll get with you later. Okay, let me know. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
I don't have a clear answer for you. I mean, having impervious surface is never great.
The problem is, excuse me, the problem is the city says county and then the county says
Thank
city,
you.
and we can't get
Yes.
anywhere. You know,
Everybody's
that's
pointing
the main
fingers,
problem.
but this has to be addressed before storm season comes. And I get nowhere with addressing.
Well,
But that's
what I'm saying.
our
There's been no
specifically the
post-
area she's talking
6
about,
to 8
the city
months,
did it, then the county.
Right, there'd be no post-storm coordination, workshop meeting, like that, to me, is an issue. Like, we really cared about making sure that we could respond, that we could build stronger communities. Do you not think this would be a fairly top priority?
I do want to say there has been coordination. We've had, our emergency operations center, and then Bradenton, we just built one. Well, City of Bradenton built one, and then the island cities are invited. We have been doing coordinating. I think some of the gaps that have been identified have been, well, one, the fuel shortage was unique because it took down Seaport, Manatee, Port Tampa, so we couldn't get fuel out there. So the gap from that was, we need to be able to get services.
Tal, I'm gonna break it down to you, right?
Sure.
Over $2.5 million in business that was lost, right?
Yeah, I understand.
We did not get a $750 grocery check from FEMA, right? And there's been, the robocall that we got from FEMA was, where SBA is out of money, right?
Yeah.
Your application's on pause until Congress, and so there's real issues, right? So you can't tap dance around that, right? And there needs to be a meeting between and a review. Like, how are we doing? How can we get stronger? How can we learn from, what happened, right? That's all we're looking for.
I understand.
Instead of being scared to have conversation between the city and the county and state, right? It's time to break down some of those barriers.
Well, I just want to be clear. We are having those conversations
Okay.
between county and city. As far as
They're not making them down to the community level.
Right, I agree.
They're not.
well, as
You
far
can
as
sit there and shake your head, they're not.
well, I'm not. I'm trying to be clear. We are coordinating. We had a pretty good response between county, city of Holmes Beach. We got first in teams to clear out a lot of the sand. We got the governor's office to come in. We built a lot of the road on Gulf Drive. The water.
I had to take 8 dump trucks to sand up my stores.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's private property but our priority was to get the main roadways open. DOT came in. Just want to be clear, there is coordination involved. As far as SBA and FEMA, I mean, we're fighting them just like you guys are. The SBA, it's Congress. We've let our
We
Congress
never
right
even
now.
heard from the county emergency management.
But that's not a county program.
No, I'm saying,
program.
but, you know, coordination across, right? Across the city and county. Because we share, like you traveled the same roads.
Sure, yeah.
Right? Same principle.
Yeah. But yeah, sure.
Well, we appreciate.
Yeah,
it. We're so glad that you're in your position.
But I got my card. If you haven't signed up for emails from me, the sign-up sheet's here. And yeah, thanks for coming.